Welcome back to another DPS analytic video. This will be for the third week of SSC and TK for TBC anniversary. Starting off with all percentiles, we have the Arcane Mage, BM Hunter, and Fury Warrior having a more comfortable spot in those 1, 2, 3 positions. And then pretty much the same median DPS below that, the Affliction Lock, Enhance, Survival Hunter, Arms Warrior, and then the Combat Rogue. Moving on to max percentile, we'll see that the Arcane Mage is in first place, but the BM Hunter is not too far behind that. I would assume that BM Hunters are starting to get their 4-piece, potentially a weapon or something like that to make them really catch up. Same thing goes for Fury Warrior. They're definitely closing the gap between that 3rd and 4th place spot, but just like last week, it's pretty much the same exact positions. 1, 2, 3, and then 4th would be Destruction Lock, Rep Pally in 5th, and then the Combat Rogue moving up a couple of positions last week. I'm telling you, it's got to be that Armor Pen Trinket. That is a huge DPS jump for them. And then my personal favorite to look at is the 95th percentile. I feel like this is probably the best case scenario. You're not going to get the super crazy degenerate gameplay like the rank 1s, but you're going to get the good players doing the optimal strategies. And of course, they're probably some of the most geared players. Pretty much the same order. You do have a little bit of a disparity between the 2nd and 3rd place spot, but Arcane Mage is just well ahead, and I feel like this is going to be the trend going forward. Arcane Mage just is going to excel at these shorter fights. Even as we make our way into Black Temple and Mount Hyjal, I think the Arcane Mage is still going to do really well. It just depends on that fight duration. As I said before, pretty much the same top 5 spots as last week, with pretty much the same median DPS as well. If it's going to be continuing to be this trend, I'll probably stop doing these videos, but if I do keep seeing these jumps and disparities, I'll keep making these weekly updates. And then lastly, let's quickly break down the top DPS for each fight. For Hydros, we have the BM Hunter. Makes perfect sense. The ads are not going to give you a whole lot of damage here. Following that, the Arcane Mage, Fury Warrior, and then the Destro Lock. Next, we have Lurker, which is an extremely short fight. Pretty much the same thing as last week. The Arcane Mage having a huge disparity here, being probably one of the shorter fights in all of this tier, other than maybe Solarian. Arcane Mage doing 3.6 thousand DPS. Following that, 2.8 by the BM Hunter, 2.8 by the Fury Warrior, and then 2.6 by the Destro Lock. Moving on to Leo, we have the Arcane Mage. Following that is the BM Hunter, Fury Warrior, and now the Rep Paladin taking the spot where the Destruction Lock once was. Next up, we have Fathom Lord, the Cleave fight. Always going to be the Fury Warrior. No surprise here. 4.1 thousand DPS and then 3.6 by the BM Hunter. Following that, we have the Combat Rogue, Arms Warrior, and then the Arcane Mage. I'm not too surprised to see the Combat Rogue here. And I'm not sure if I said this last week, but I knew as soon as they get that Armor Pen Trinket, they were going to do some really solid numbers on this fight. Any short fight with a nice burst window, a little bit of cleave, they're going to do really well in those encounters. Next, we have Tidewalker, BM Hunter, once again, well ahead, just like last week. Following that, we have the Arcane Mage, Fury Warrior, and then the Survival. Very nice. And then lastly, for SSC, we have Lady Vashj, Arcane Mage, BM Hunter, Fury Warrior, and then the Destro Lock, and then the Feral Druid. Nice. That's one of the few times I've seen them in the top 5, so it's definitely worth talking about. But after that, you just see a huge drop-off in this median DPS, pretty much everything doing about the same DPS. Moving on to Alar, we have the Arcane Mage, BM Hunter, Destro Lock. Makes a lot of sense. Melee has a lot harder of a time on this fight. They have a lot less uptime than the casters in range DPS, so this checks out. Fury Warrior not doing as well this fight, and that's just going to be the trend going forward. Void Reaver, we've seen it time and time again. Arcane Mage, no pushback, double Icy Veins. It's just unbeatable, I think. But honestly, the Destro Lock is really starting to close the gap between this Arcane Mage, so we'll have to see in the weeks to come if someone ever does beat the Arcane Mage here. Next, we have Solarian. Time and time again, short fights, Combat Rogue starts to pop off, sometimes the Enhanced Shaman as well, but almost every single fight, BM Hunter, Fury Warrior, Arcane Mage, and then the Rep Paladin in those top 5 spots or even top 6 spots. And then finally, we have Kel'Thas Sunstrider, Arcane Mage well ahead on this encounter, super short burst windows between each advisor, the weapons. There's plenty of downtime for them to get mana. They're really not going to have any trouble on this encounter. 1.8, following that, 1.6 with the Fury, BM Hunter, Destro Lock, Rep Pally, and then the Combat Rogue, which I'm really impressed to see the Combat Rogue doing this well. We kind of knew that was going to be the case going forward because of these short encounters. Even on max percentile, looking at that once again before we close this out, they're right there. They're not too far behind. And if you are to get Glaives as a rogue, I wouldn't be surprised if they start to shoot up and be in this top 3 or even top 4 spots. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more just like this one. And as always, I will see you next time.